do problem number 1 together, which hopefully most of you are like, I got this. 3m minus 6 equals 2m plus 3. I'm going to draw my wall of equality. Okay, so my first step would be to move the variables. Let's raise our hands, right? We're going to move the variables so we get all the variables on one side. Which way would you move them, Griffin?
Left, from right to left.
I'm going to subtract this 2m from both sides to balance it out. So I have m minus 6 equals 3. Now, why did I move the 2m and not the 3m? Who remembers the advice? Yes, same.
Because 3m's are larger.
Okay, but what are we trying? We're trying to avoid those negative coefficients, okay? And then I just have a single step left where I'm going to add 6 to both sides. M equals 9, and that's my answer. And I stop right there. I'm good.
Can you turn it to a decimal?
All right, question 2. We've got 2 minus 3 times the quantity x minus 4 equals 7x minus 4. Okay, what's my first thing I need to do? Yes?
You forgot
Adam.
to put like 2x.
Oh, there is an x. Thank you. 2x minus 3. Thank you very much. Okay.
Oh, good job.
What's my first step here? What am I going to do, Gabby?
You're going to distribute
What?
3 to x.
Actually, it's the negative 3, right? I have to distribute that 3 and the negative sign. So I'm going to have 2x minus 3x plus 12 equals 7x minus 4. And then what do I have to do? Combine like terms. So I have the 2x minus the 3x, negative x, plus 12 equals 7x minus 4. Now I have variables on both sides, so I have to move one of those terms. Which one am I going to move? What do you think, Addison? Right, I'm going to add this to both sides. So now I have 12 equals 8x minus 4. So now I have a two-stepper, which means I have 2 steps left. Right? What am I going to do, Dylan? I'm going to add 4 to both sides. This is that property of equality where whatever you do to the one side, you have to do to the other to balance it out. 16 equals 8x. Nate, what's my last step?
You divide 8 by 16. Oh, wait. What?
Divide 16 by 8.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant.
I've done that for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
2 equals x. Right? How can you check your work? Like, in theory, you should never get these wrong. Why, Caleb?
Just plug in the x to the rest of the
Right, if I put 2 in here for this x and this x, the left side should equal the right side. Okay? I'm not going to force you guys to check these. There are some problems down the road where I'll say you need to show how you checked your work. But if you ever are unsure or you're like, that doesn't look right, check it out. Okay, put it in there, see if it works. All right, number 3, we now have a fraction. Yay!
I don't like fractions.
I thought you hated fractions.
No,
It's
you need
hard.
to
It's
make
everything harder.
Okay.
That's what you should be down.
Decimals.
I have a question.
I don't hear it anymore. Nope.
I have a question.
Nope.
No, it's not even about this.
Okay, so I have a fraction here. We talked about clearing the fractions. So what is my least common denominator? 4. It's the only denominator. So everything is going to get multiplied times 4. Everything. Right? There's no parentheses in the problem. So everything is fair game. Every term needs to be multiplied by 4. So 4 times n is 4n. Divided by 4 is just n. Yep. 4 times 3, 4 times 2n, 8n. And I'm already at two-stepper status, right? That's our goal. Sebastian, what am I going to do next?
You subtract n.
Yep.
Well, one thing I can
12 equals 7n.
And that's no solution, right?
No. What's my last step? Jack, what am I going to do?
Oh, it's, I know.
You can get decimal.
Divide by 7. And then I leave it as 12 over 7 equals n.
We should put it in a decimal.
I'm going to.
I agree with
I
that.
have it as a decimal, it's 1.7.
Yeah, there, that's easy.
1.7
took that
equals
number.
n.
Yeah.
You should have ever told him.
I'm genuinely trying to help you guys. Listen, I got the coolest phone call last night. Can I tell you about this phone call I got?
Sure.
No, but it involves students taking my advice. So I got a phone call from a friend that teaches at the high school, and her husband teaches Algebra 2 honors, where a lot of the kids who are now in 10th grade that had algebra with me are in that class. So that could be your future, right? And she called to tell me that her husband came home from work and said some of his students were talking about this binder they had from 8th grade. They were calling it a jam, and he asked them to bring it in to show him, and they brought it into school and showed him, and he was super impressed. And the 2 girls, I emailed them today and said, oh my gosh, you know, that like made my night. They said they've used it more times than they ever thought they would as an Algebra 2 student, right? Because you're going to forget stuff. You're going to forget algebra stuff when you're taking geometry. So they have busted it out, dusted it off.
They were in your class last year.
They were in my class 2 years ago.
How does that work? How do you go from
So in-
algebra to algebra?
So they took geometry.
Geometry in ninth grade.
Yeah.
They take algebra.
Right? So just saying it does.
Do once you finish algebra.
Pre-calculus.
Yeah. Trigonometry. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying if you take my advice, it's actually beneficial. All right, let's try number 4.
Decimals. So don't use decimals. That's
No, use as many decimals.
Trust me, my God.
Okay, number 4. We've got a fraction here again. What will my least common denominator be?
4.
4. It's the only denominator. Right. So I'm going to have x minus 36x equals 420. Because 4 times 1 is 4, divided by 1 is, or divided by 4 is 1. 4 times negative 9, negative 36. And so now I'm at my two-stepper. I have negative 35x equals 420. Divide by negative 35. X equals
Something around 15.
15.8.
Is.
it's not a decimal.
You sure?
Pretty sure.
It's like. Is it like 16? Is it 16? 17? 18? 19.
Bro, pull out your
Negative 12,
Uh,
right?
Negative
Negative 12.
Oh, wait. No.
you could just do 420 divided by negative 35.
Negative 12.
But because it's a decimal, you turn it into a decimal, you have to round
There's
up.
no decimals.
0.0. 12.0.
Hey, I have a question for how you did number 4.
Okay.
Swear I didn't do it.
Can I have your attention, please? Last call for school pictures. If you were not here earlier in the day when your class had pictures taken, please create a pass for your teacher to let you go to the LGI room to get your picture taken now. So last call for school pictures for today.
Who said they have a question about number 4? Yes, Sebastian.
I don't see why you would distribute like that in that scenario. It'd be
Because
much
there's no
easier to
parentheses.
Okay,
Get rid of the
so-
fraction and
So
make it
here's the thing. The way I'm showing this may not be the way you prefer to do it, and that's okay. We're gonna leave it at that. Okay. Some of us can distribute and do all that and do the fraction. Some people are like, let's just get rid of it. Okay. Well, it's not that. I mean, I would argue that it probably took you longer to do it with the fraction, right? And but that's your preferred method. That's okay, right? I'm never going to tell you not to do it that way, right? But I'm just showing what I think might be the easiest path. Okay. Did you have a question, Dylan?
The least common denominator with the 4,
Mhm.
you just take that from the denominator.
It's the only denominator. Yep. So there's only one denominator, that becomes your least common denominator,
Okay.
right? So let's look at number 5. 4/5 x plus 2/3 equals 6x. Hand down. You've talked enough. Daniel, what will my least common denominator be for this equation? 15.
What?
So everything's going to be multiplied by
Nah.
15.
Good stuff, Nathaniel B.
All right, so 15 times 4 is 60, divided by 5 is 12, so I have 12x. 15 times 2 is 30, divided by 3 is 10. 15 times 6 is 90x.
Wait, how is it 90?
Oh, yeah.
Wall of equality. I'm going to subtract 12x from both sides. Divide by 78. 5/39 equals x. This is a perfect reason to avoid fractions. That is ugly.
Oh, I thought you were about to say avoid decimals.
That too.
You're not supposed to avoid decimal.
Okay.
So my answer could be 0.1282.
I can't feel my foot. It's asleep.
Okay. So we're going to stop as a group right here. You guys are going to work independently now. We've done a little bit of everything. If you have a question, raise your hand. Really quick, when you get down to 15 and 16, what do those parentheses mean again?
I don't get it.
They're like protected from your greatest common factor. So you can't multiply everything, those values by 4 or those values by 3.
Don't you have, or for 16, sorry, don't you have to? Because it's distributing, so wouldn't you have to multiply?
Nope, we're clearing the fraction. So when we multiply everything by 3, we do 2/3 times 3 and 8 times 3, not the 2x plus 7.
Okay, so we want to distribute it to
So you
the,
clear the fraction.
okay.
So what she was saying is distributing the least common denominator to all the values.
Okay.
The ones in parentheses are off limits, they're protected.
Okay, even when you have to distribute to them?
Only when you're clearing the denominator. And then you distribute just like normal.
Okay.
Yep.